How old are you?
Grown.
Okay, what does grown mean?
I'm an adult. I told you, I don't recall nothing I said to no police. You keep sitting right here asking me the same question over and over and over and over and over. I'm tired of it. I'm drained.
And if anybody's in the gallery and you can't otherwise control yourself or otherwise you want to make any appropriate comments, then you can leave at this point in time. But if you remain in this courtroom and make any outbursts, I'll have you arrested.
Get another false allegation and you do nothing, I'm shocked. I'm appalled at you. I sit here day after day with this false allegation.
Can I get a water or something? I'm so high right now, y'all. I'm about to go to sleep on y'all now.
There's no doubt that Young Thug's YSL RICO trial has already gone down as one of the wildest sagas in hip-hop history. Ever since the jury selection kicked off in 2023, this trial has been nothing short of a roller coaster ride. What started with 28 defendants got trimmed down to 14 in 2022, and now it's just Young Thug and 5 others left standing. But let me tell you, the drama hasn't cooled down one bit. If anything, it's only gotten more chaotic.
Now, prosecutors claim that the defendants are all part of this criminal enterprise, that Williams is at the head of it, that he's a mafia don, that he co-founded a street gang called YSL, or Young Slime Life, back in 2012.
After nearly 10 grueling months just to pick a jury, the trial officially kicked off on November 27, 2023. And because the proceedings are live streamed every day, we've all been able to witness some truly unbelievable moments unfold in real time.
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know what. No, I guess I don't.
Let's start with Lil Woody, because this guy might just be the most entertaining witness we've seen in a long while. Since the state's star witness Kenneth Copeland took the stand in the RICO trial against Young Thug, aka Jeffrey Williams, and his co-defendants, it's been nothing but high-stakes drama. But honestly, with a case this twisted, could we really expect anything less? We're talking about a situation where Atlanta prosecutors are claiming that Williams is one of the big dogs behind YSL, or Young Slime Life, which they allege is a criminal street gang that's been wreaking havoc across the city. The whole thing is part of a massive RICO indictment, with Williams and his co-defendants facing a laundry list of charges. Of course, the defense is saying YSL is just a record label and all this criminal stuff is blown way out of proportion. Now, this trial has been a bit of a circus, to say the least. It's been dragging on for what, almost a year and a half now? And get this, almost a full year of that was just picking a jury. But one of the moments everyone was waiting for was when Kenneth Copeland, aka Lil Woody, took the stand. His name had been floating around in earlier testimonies, and he was even seen talking to the cops in an interrogation tape that leaked online.
He's still stupid. You know what I mean? Like, you rich, why would you be stupid? That's why I get away from him. I go, I get away from him. That's why you never see me post. I don't know, I mean, I just hate being around.
Prosecutors were banking on Lil Woody to be their star witness, mainly because he'd previously linked Williams to some shady business. Woody had struck a deal where he'd get immunity in exchange for spilling the tea on Young Thug and YSL, so everyone was expecting him to come through with some serious bombshells. But if the prosecution thought Lil Woody was going to hand them a slam dunk on a silver platter, they were in for a rude awakening. When Woody finally took the stand 8 months into the trial, things didn't exactly go as planned. From the jump, Woody made it clear he didn't want to be there, and he didn't want to testify. His lawyer even told the court up front that Woody was not thrilled about being a witness.
So, Your Honor, Mr. Copeland is here. I can state as his attorney that he intends to exercise his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. He does not wish to testify in this trial. He's not on bond, he's not on probation, there's nothing like that. I would ask that he be allowed to leave this courtroom without being compelled to testify.
So here's the deal. The prosecution had given Kenneth Copeland what's called use immunity. Now, in plain terms, that means whatever he said while on the stand during the trial couldn't be used against him in court, at least by the state. But there's a catch. It seems like Lil Woody might have been worried about whether his testimony could get him in trouble with the feds. But putting that aside, when you're granted use immunity and the court orders you to testify, you pretty much lose the option to plead the fifth because your right against self-incrimination is basically off the table. So what does Lil Woody do? He goes ahead and pleads the fifth anyway, refusing to testify.
How old are you?
Grown.
Okay, what does grown mean?
I'm an adult.
Okay. And when you say you're an adult, what number in years are you?
I plead the fifth.
And the court wasn't having it. Because of that, he was held in contempt and shipped off to Fulton County Jail for the weekend.
The fact that you have invoked your Fifth Amendment privilege, but the state has already given you immunity under 24-5-507, this court holds you in willful contempt. See if we can get some more testimony at that point in time. Take him into custody.
But by Monday, he was back in court, and this time he at least answered the questions. But let me tell you, it wasn't smooth sailing for the prosecution. Even getting basic information out of him, like his age or where he went to school, turned into a struggle.
I went to a lot of different schools.
Okay, what are all the schools you went to?
I don't recall all of them.
Oh, just tell me some of them.
I only know one, Slater,
Later. Is that elementary school or middle school?
elementary.
Finished middle school?
Overruled.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Did you go to high school at all?
Yeah.
Now let me give you some context on why the prosecution was so desperate to get something out of Copeland. Back in 2015, several YSL members were allegedly involved in the murder of Donovan Thomas, also known as Big Nut, who was supposedly a rival gang member. Two of Young Thug's co-defendants in this trial, Shannon Stillwell and Diamante Kendrick, have been charged in connection with the shooting. And to top it off, Young Thug himself is accused of renting the car that was used in the murder. So yeah, the stakes are high. The prosecution needed Copeland to confirm that he knew these guys. But even that turned into a battle. It was like pulling teeth.
Look at him.
Yes. Division of State's Exhibit 350 Yankee.
I recognize myself.
Okay. Do you recognize anybody else in 350 Yankee?
Myself.
How do you know Little D?
I didn't birth him.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I almost birthed him.
You almost birthed him?
Yeah.
Tell the jury, what do you mean by that?
That mean he my son.
They also wanted to establish a connection between Copeland and Young Thug, hoping to get some evidence of their friendship. But Copeland wasn't making it easy for them. He was super hesitant, to say the least.
Where would you hang out with him at?
We used to do fun stuff, like go to bowling.
Now shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the drama that went down when Gunna showed up for his third bond hearing. The YSL rapper was hoping to get out on bond, but Judge Earl Glanville wasn't having it and denied him for the third time. That decision did not sit well with Gunna's supporters in the courtroom. The place erupted in grunts and groans, and you could feel the tension in the air. The judge wasn't about to let that slide though. He gave a stern warning, telling folks they could leave if they didn't like his decisions. He then made it crystal clear that if anyone else dared to cause an outburst, they'd be getting a one-way ticket to jail. That really set the tone for what kind of courtroom Judge Glanville was running. Strict and no nonsense.
And if anybody's in the gallery and you can't otherwise control yourself or otherwise you want to make any appropriate comments, then you can leave at this point in time, or nothing else will occur. But if you remain in this courtroom and make any outbursts, I'll have you arrested.
But what really got people talking was what happened next with Gunna. A video started making the rounds online that pretty much flipped the script on his reputation in both hip-hop and the streets. In the video, Gunna is seen spilling the beans on every secret about YSL, and let's just say that didn't go over well. It wasn't a good look for someone trying to maintain a street rep. And if that wasn't enough, there was another strange moment during the trial when Judge Glanville considered whether to include Young Thug's lyrics as evidence. Things got a little surreal when the judge decided to recite some of Thug's bars out loud in court. The lyrics in question were from Thug's 2016 track Slime Shesh, and hearing them delivered in the judge's monotone voice was downright bizarre.
Hey, this is that slime Hey, YSL Hey, 12 Hey, a jail Hey, cooking white brick.
The judge allowed the lyrics to be included as evidence, a controversial decision many hip-hop fans and free speech supporters are against. But the courtroom wasn't all serious vibes. There were some funny moments too. At one point, Young Thug was caught on camera vibing to his own song while it was being played in court. He even got his lawyer cracking a smile. And in another musical moment, as one of Thug's songs was being played, the cameraman couldn't resist zooming in on every black person in the room, probably hoping to catch some sort of reaction. Next up, things got wild when a Zoom bomber crashed the court's live stream, shouting out "Free Thug" and "Mistrial." If you thought Young Thug's fans were just going to sit back quietly during his trial, think again. They've been riding hard for him ever since his arrest, and this latest stunt was proof of just how far they're willing to go. This particular fan managed to hack into the Zoom link that Fulton County had set up for remote attorneys to watch the trial. Not content with just watching, the fan made sure his voice was heard, literally, by yelling out "Free Thug, Mistrial" not once but twice. The courtroom was thrown into chaos, and the trial ended up being delayed for several hours while officials scrambled to figure out what just went down.
Free Thug, Mistrial! Free Thug, Mistrial!
Next up, in yet another strange twist, a YSL lawyer decided to bring some hip-hop slang into the courtroom. When Judge Glanville accused him and another attorney of giving their clients candy and letting them use cell phones before the trial, the lawyer shot back with, "It's cap."
It's just not true. It's cap, to be honest.
For those who aren't familiar, cap is a popular term in hip-hop culture that basically means lies or nonsense. But while it might be a regular part of the lexicon on the streets or in rap songs, it's not exactly the kind of language you expect to hear in a courtroom. It was funny and kind of inappropriate, but at this point, nothing during this trial is all that surprising anymore. Next up, the YSL trial took another bizarre turn when a witness admitted on the stand that he was too high to even stay awake. Adrian Bean was clearly not thrilled about being there, and he wasn't shy about it. When he straight up told the court that he was so high he could barely keep his eyes open, the whole room was left stunned.
Can I get the water or something? I'm so high right now, y'all. I'm about to go to sleep on y'all ass.
The lead prosecutor quickly handed him a bottle of water, trying to help him pull it together. And Judge Glanville, likely trying to keep things from spiraling even further, reassured Bean that a break was coming up soon. It was one of those moments that left everyone wondering what could possibly happen next in this already crazy trial. And just when you thought things couldn't get any weirder, a potential juror found herself in hot water for filming the court proceedings. During jury selection, juror 1004 decided to whip out her phone and record what was happening in the courtroom. Unfortunately for her, that's a big no-no. When Judge Glanville found out he wasn't having any of her excuses, she tried to claim that it was her first time being a potential juror and that she didn't know filming was off limits. But the judge wasn't buying it. She ended up being sentenced to 3 days in jail, though she was released after just 5 hours.
Contempt is punishable by a fine of $1,000 and/or 20 days in jail.
It was a pretty clear reminder that in this trial, even the spectators need to watch their step. Contempt of court can land you with $1,000 fine or up to 20 days behind bars, and this juror got a taste of just how seriously those rules are taken. Now, circling back to the ongoing drama with Lil Woody, things took a wild turn that no one saw coming. It turns out that behind closed doors, Judge Glanville and the prosecutors had a private meeting with Lil Woody. And here's the thing, they didn't bother to tell Young Thug's lawyer Brian Steele about it. In legal terms, this kind of one-sided meeting is called ex parte, and while it's not always a sign of something shady, it definitely raised some red flags for Steele. He wasn't about to let it slide and started pressing the judge for answers about what really went down in that meeting. Steele was basically like, hold up, why wasn't I in the room for this?
Attorney or district attorneys for the DA's office, as well as investigators, sheriff deputies, Mr. Copeland and his counsel, met together.
But instead of getting answers, he got stonewalled. Judge Glanville wasn't having any of it and wouldn't say a word about the meeting. All he wanted to know was how Steele even found out about it in the first place. Steele, though, wasn't about to reveal his sources, no matter how hard the judge pushed. That's when things really escalated. The judge actually threatened to hold Brian Steele in contempt if he didn't spill the beans on how he knew about the meeting. But Steele stood his ground, refusing to back down.
And you haven't answered my question yet. How did you... That question. You're not? No.
The tension hit a peak when the judge followed through on his threat and had Steele arrested, sentencing him to 20 days in jail.
I'm going to order that you be taken into custody, incarcerated in Fulton County Jail for no more than 20 days for this contempt.
Steele only had to serve his sentence on the weekends, so he was still able to work on the trial during the week. Even though he knew this whole contempt thing was going to hurt Young Thug's case, Steele didn't let up. In fact, he even asked to be jailed in the same facility as Thug, so they could discuss the case while locked up together.
Locked up.
I'd asked that I can be with Mr. Williams and we work on our case all weekend. for all those weekends. Otherwise, I can't prepare.
After Steele's arrest, the legal community was buzzing. Other lawyers took to social media, arguing that Steele getting cuffed like that should be more than enough to declare a mistrial. What's really wild is that the judge still wouldn't talk about what went down in that private meeting with Lil Woody and the prosecutors. His only focus seemed to be on figuring out how Steele found out about it, and he wasn't done dishing out threats. Judge Glanville is now planning another meeting with the prosecutors, Lil Woody, and Woody's former lawyer to get to the bottom of the leak. He's even threatening to hold them all in contempt if he discovers they were the ones who tipped off Steele. The way Judge Glanville is handling this case is straight up mind-blowing, and it's got everyone in the Georgia legal community talking. One Georgia lawyer, Andrew Fleischman, even said that if Young Thug gets convicted, the defense might have a solid shot at getting the ruling overturned because of how this whole situation is playing out. The judge's actions are so out of the ordinary that it's left the entire legal community in shock. Another defense lawyer, Doug Weinstein, who's also part of the trial, tried to get the judge removed from the case by filing a motion. But here's the catch. The judge himself is the one who decides on that kind of motion, and he denied it immediately. Weinstein didn't back down though. He straight up asked the judge if he wasn't interested in clearing the dark cloud hanging over the case. But instead of getting a thoughtful response, Weinstein got threatened.
What you're pleading at this point in time, what you're stating to the court. As a matter of professional responsibility, remember, we haven't nugged out all of the issues involved in that affidavit, and I would be very careful if I were you.
Even some big-name attorneys from outside the case are weighing in on the situation. Bradford Cohen, Kodak Black's lawyer and a major celebrity attorney with ties to Donald Trump, took to Twitter to slam Judge Glanville. Cohen, who's represented everyone from Drake to DMX and even helped Kodak and Lil Wayne get pardoned in 2021, didn't hold back. He called the situation immediate grounds for a mistrial and gave a shout out to Brian Steele for holding his ground, saying defense attorneys everywhere should be worried about how this judge is handling things. Despite all the calls for a mistrial, the judge is keeping the trial going. Meanwhile, Lil Woody is now testifying without pleading the fifth, and it seems like this trial is only going to get crazier from here. Continuing with the never-ending drama surrounding Kenneth Copeland, things took yet another unexpected twist. This time, it involves Kayla Bumpus, who was stepping in as temporary counsel while Copeland's regular attorney was out of town. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Judge Glanville dropped some hints in court that seemed to suggest Bumpus might have been the one who tipped off Brian Steele about the secretive ex parte meeting. This accusation has put Bumpus in a tough spot, as both she and Copeland are now scheduled to appear at a show cause hearing in a couple of weeks. The hearing will determine if they should be held in contempt of court for their alleged involvement in leaking the information. Amidst all this chaos, Copeland decided to part ways with Miss Bumpus as his attorney.
Sir, Mr. Copeland, is it your desire to release your counsel at this point in time?
She fired.
She's fired? Okay.
However, according to Bumpus, she was already fired before Copeland even got a chance to testify. It's just another curveball in this trial that seems to be full of surprises. The situation with Bumpus is just the tip of the iceberg, though. Things got even more intense when Assistant District Attorney Simone Hilton called on Lil Woody to elaborate on the information he gave to investigators back in 2021. That interrogation has been a key piece of this trial, and Hilton was eager to dig deeper into what Woody had said. At the time, Copeland, who's already a convicted felon, had been caught with a gun during a traffic stop, a charge that could have landed him a 10-year sentence. But instead of just taking the heat, he decided to spill the beans on other crimes, including some that hadn't even happened yet. This was his way of cutting a deal, but it's where things get really murky. A video of that interrogation was leaked online, and in it, Copeland is seen talking about Jeffrey Lamar Williams, aka Young Thug, even going as far as to suggest he could help get a confession out of him. But now, in court, a visibly frustrated Copeland is backpedaling, telling Hilton that he only said what the investigators wanted to hear, and claiming he doesn't remember much of what he said during that tense interrogation.
Thug said in 2015 to Kel.
Yes.
Yes, you remember what Thug said?
I don't recall what was said. I don't remember what was said.
Beef ain't over with until you pay for my window. You shot my window.
Yes.
Yes, you remember telling Detective Gaither that?
I don't remember what I done told the police.
For Hilton, this wasn't exactly the kind of testimony she was hoping to get out of Copeland, but for everyone watching, you just couldn't look away.
I don't recall nothing I said to no police. You keep sitting right here asking me the same question over and over and over and over and over. I'm tired of it. I'm drained. Answer the question. You ask me, I say yes, yes. When I say yes, you ask me the same question over and over and over and over and over.
But did you just tell the court or this jury that you're saying yes just to move the process along?
I think I said it loud and clear.
Continuing with the never-ending saga of the YSL trial, things just keep getting wilder by the day. One of the most unexpected twists involved attorney Eric R. Johnson, who's representing Christian Eppinger, one of Young Thug's co-defendants. Johnson found himself in hot water with Judge Glanville for something as seemingly trivial as refusing to buy lunch for the other attorneys. But in a courtroom where even the smallest missteps can have big consequences, this didn't go unnoticed. The judge didn't just give Johnson a slap on the wrist, he held him in contempt of court and handed down a punishment that was both bizarre and intense. Johnson was ordered to write a 17-page essay on the importance of professionalism in court, complete with APA citations and 20 primary and secondary sources. If that wasn't enough pressure, Judge Glanville made it clear that failure to turn in this assignment would land Johnson in jail for 20 days.
How are we doing on that paper? I mean, the importance of professionalism.
It's still unclear whether Johnson completed his essay or if he got a taste of life behind bars, but the mere fact that this was even a punishment option is a testament to how off the rails this trial has become. But that's just scratching the surface of the chaos. Let's not forget the infamous incident during Young Thug's very first court appearance after his arrest. The hearing, meant to be a serious and somber affair, took a wild turn when a fan managed to hack the Zoom link set up for remote attorneys. Suddenly, instead of legal proceedings, a graphic video was broadcasted for everyone in the courtroom to see.
A pre-trial hearing for Young Thug takes an unexpected turn when someone drops an X-rated video on the court screens.
The explicit clip even included a bold Free Young Thug message, adding a twisted layer of irony to the whole fiasco. Court officers scrambled to shut down the screens, but the damage was done, and the hearing was delayed due to the ensuing technical difficulties. It was a shocking moment that perfectly encapsulated the unpredictability of this trial. And speaking of unpredictability, YSL Polo, real name Corderius Dorsey, made headlines with his erratic behavior in the courtroom. On what was clearly a bad day for Polo, he was seen making a series of bizarre movements and gestures that seemed to be aimed at intimidating the prosecutors and even the jurors. The judge wasn't having any of it, though, and he quickly ordered Polo's counsel to get their client under control.
Her client, I noticed, has been doing the same behavior, and I believe Judge Adams inquired into it as well. So I don't believe that he may be doing just for the purposes of just drawing attention to himself.
Then there was the jaw-dropping moment when Young Thug was handed drugs right in the middle of the courtroom by none other than his co-defendant, Khalif Adams. The whole thing was caught on camera, leaving everyone in shock. Adams casually walked over to where Thug was seated with his attorney and dropped a Percocet pill into Thug's hand. A deputy immediately confronted Thug, who had no choice but to hand over the pill. But that wasn't the end of it. A further search revealed that Adams had been carrying more than just a single Percocet. He had marijuana and tobacco on him as well, all wrapped in plastic and sprinkled with food seasonings to mask the smell. And if you thought that was the peak of the madness, think again. One of the most disturbing incidents happened when co-defendant Rodelius Ryan, aka Lil Rod, was removed from the courtroom after allegedly reeking of marijuana. The drama escalated when Lil Rod was escorted out to be strip-searched in another room. What followed were blood-curdling screams that echoed through the courtroom as Lil Rod wailed for help, claiming that the deputies were breaking his arm. The sudden outburst left everyone in the courtroom in a state of panic and confusion, as attorneys tried to figure out what was going on. The situation became so intense that the entire courtroom had to be evacuated. After the dust settled, it was discovered that Lil Rod had 2 bags of marijuana sewn into his underwear. With all these wild events, it's hard to believe that the YSL trial is nowhere near over, as more weeks, months, and possibly even years of courtroom drama unfold. There's no doubt that even more outrageous moments are yet to come.